So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November Parks and Libraries Committee meeting for Queens Community Board 6. Just a reminder, this meeting is going to be recorded, and we can start off with the first item on our agenda, which is a welcome, and then we could follow up with the meet and greet portion of the agenda. So I can introduce myself, and then I'll pass it on to Martha, and then we could go from there. So my name is Kavish Batra. I've been on Queens Community Board 6 for about 5 years now, and I have been the co-chair of the Parks and Libraries Committee for about 4 years now. And I'm excited to meet all the new members today. Martha?
Hello, I'm Martha Tucker. I've been on the committee board for about 5 years, and I've been chair and co-chair of Parks, Recreation Libraries, it's first Libraries and Cultural Affairs, now it's called Recreation and Libraries. And I'm looking forward to another year and events just how far communities so necessary now when we see existence being threatened by so many ways.
Thank you, Martha. Does anybody else want to go next?
Hi, I'm Anicia. I've been a few years in the community board, and this is my first year in the Park and Library Committee.
Very exciting. Thank you, Nithya. Uh, I guess someone else can go next, and whoever goes could just pick somebody else to go. Otherwise, me and Martha are gonna have to just call on people, and nobody wants to get called off guard. But thank you, Karen.
Hey there, I'm Karen. Nice to meet some of you and see some old faces. I'm about my 4th year on the community board, also about 4th year on the Parks and Libraries Committee. Live in Forest Hills, and yeah, excited to work on a whole bunch of issues with all of you. And I will, I'm not sure who all went yet, but maybe I'll toss it over to Andy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy. This is my first year as a community board member. I was a public member last year, and I joined, I think, a few sessions. I joined because I'm really passionate about our larger parks, even though they're kind of out of our strict jurisdiction. I hope we can take the responsibility to advocate for them. Um, uh, One disappointing news I would like to share is that Community Board 9 has voted to close off partially a section of Forest Park to allow cars to come back in for 6 months out of the year. I was there to give a public comment as an individual, not part of the community board. I really don't want to see that as a trend happening to the remainder of the park. Yeah, so I would like to focus on the larger parks in our area. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Howie, you have your hand raised, so I thought maybe you wanted to introduce yourself next. Um, I'm not sure if you're speaking, Howie, but you're muted right now.
Do you want me to go while he fixes that?
Sure, yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Diana Walcott, and this is my first year on the community board, and happy to join this committee.
Happy to have you. Thank you. So we haven't heard from David, Sherry, Alma, Rob.
I'll go.
Sure, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is my third year on the community board. And before this year, I'm still on consumer affairs and personnel, but we have a lot of parks in CB6. And I think most of them are in good shape, but we always got to keep an eye on it. And just, I think it's an important committee. So that's why I joined it this time around.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate that. I think we all appreciate that. Thank you, David. Uh, Sherry, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Hi, my name is Sherry. I've been on the committee board for, oh gosh, a number of years at this point. I've lost track. I am the co-chair of the Education and Youth Committee, and this is my first year on this particular committee.
Well, welcome to the Parks and Libraries Committee. It's a very exciting committee to be on. So we've heard from most people, but we still haven't heard from Alma, Stephen, Robert, and Howie. But if you want to volunteer,
Hi, Kavish. It's Rob. Can you guys hear me? My phone is
Rob.
acting up. I'm commuting from work.
Oh, we can hear you just fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Sorry, yes, I'm coming back from a big project. Good evening, all. Robert Ash, second year on the board. Second year on Parks and Library Committee. Avid user of all of our parks as a distance runner. I don't have any children to play in the playgrounds. However, I do obviously run in all of our larger parks and frequent all of our smaller parks for the restrooms and water fountains. And I can tell you, unfortunately, how often our water fountains are not working at our parks in our community. But looking forward to working together to help improve our parks.
Nice. Thank you, Rob. We do have those budget items that we're going to talk about next that have to do with the water fountains. So thank you for bringing that up. Does anyone else want to introduce themselves?
Yes.
I do. You hear me now?
We hear you, Howie.
Oh, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Doing well.
So I've been on the committee board. I was appointed in 2021 by Karen. So I'm enjoying it very much.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I think Alma also wanted to introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. My
Hi.
name is Alma Reyes. It's my first year in the Community Board 6, and I am public member for Parks and Recreation. I really love the parks, especially I am worried about Flushing Meadow Corona Park. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And Edgar just joined us, so that's good to see. So Edgar, we were just introducing ourselves. I'm not sure if you wanted to go next.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Edgar. I live in Forest Hills, and I imagine we're talking about our favorite parks. Is that what the prompt was? Icebreaker?
Oh yeah, just introducing yourselves and anything you want to share. But favorite park is definitely welcome.
Oh yeah. I do love Forest Park. It's really a beauty, and I've spent a lot of time there, especially when my kid was very young, very small. And I spent a lot of time in playgrounds with my son. He's 3, and let's just be frank here: there aren't there aren't many spaces in this city where you can have fun for free, and so I really do enjoy our playgrounds. So thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here tonight.
Oh, thank you for joining us. It's definitely a great perspective to have when you have like younger children. So it's good to have that, perspective as well. And lastly, it's Stephen Melnick, if you want to introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for welcoming me as a new public member to this committee. Appreciate it. Many of you may know I've been a steward at the McDonald Park on Queens Boulevard for the last 12 years. And that I've been advocating for a lot of things for that little park of ours. It's a vital piece to our bustling community. And I enjoy doing that. And I enjoy sharing sharing my views on parks and libraries as we go along. Thanks again for.
No, thank you so much. I just want to say that when I became like co-chair of the committee initially, they did recommend that I reach out to Stephen Melnick. Apparently he knows a lot about parks and makes sense now, 12 years of being a steward at the McDonald Park. So I think that's everybody. So we could move on to the next order of business. So we have the Queens Public Library updates. So the updates that I have, or me and Martha have, are the same updates from our full board meeting. So we're expecting the ground to break December 22nd. So December 21st would be the last day to use the Riga Park Public Library. And we're expecting the construction to be around 4 to 6 years. We do have a mobile office or more of like a mobile library, like van or bus. Unfortunately, we heard that it was only going to be operating for 1 day out of the entire week. And we, as a board, it felt like we were not happy about that. So maybe that's something that we could focus on for our next year's budget when we discuss that. But that's the only update that I have, me and Martha have for the parks. It's the same update that we got on the full board meeting earlier this month. Just 22nd is expected date to break ground, and we're looking to see about 4 to 5 years of construction. If we're lucky and we weren't able to secure an annex like we would want, but I think that's still also worth, keeping in budget when we do talk about that. So, Martha, do you have anything to add to the library update?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. However, I
Okay.
think it really should be the mission of this committee to just say that 1 day is not enough. We need to keep advocating that we need more time. And if it's going to take 4 years, 4 to 6 years,
Yeah.
even if we add an extra day every year, we can't just set it up. We hope that everybody's on board with us and understands how it's really
Right. No, I completely agree. One of our budget items, Karen, would you like to, you have your hand raised?
Oh yeah, thanks, Kavish. And I apologize if there's a little bit of background noise. But this is really more of a question of,
Mhm.
is there any action that this committee could take between now and the budget for next year to, sort of prod the library or I don't know, like participatory budgeting or just other mechanisms by which this committee could exude some pressure? Like, are we on the record yet saying that the 1 day a week is insufficient?
Mhm.
Understanding that we may not get a result like immediately, but I'm
Yeah,
just thinking about what are the interim steps that could happen between now and like next year's budget cycle.
absolutely. No, that's a great question. So just my limited understanding, the city council is having their participatory budgeting process, and that's really focused on the capital side of the budget. So we could just reach out to our council members. Um, right now, while they're still working on their participatory budgeting process, and I think they're still collecting ideas. Um, the CEC is also having a participatory budgeting process, the Civic Engagement Commission, but that's solely just expense related. Those you would have to submit an idea and hopefully the community votes on it. Just like any other participatory budgeting process, but it's citywide, so it's seems a little bit harder to achieve in that sense. But if there's any a program, the CEC is doing their participatory budgeting process. We could submit ideas until the 26th. It just got extended, I think today. So we could work with participatory budgeting with our city council on the capital side of things, which makes more sense for this situation. But if there's a way we could also kind of create a program for our neighborhood through like using the expense side of the budget. The CEC would be the way to go. I think we should go both directions if we do have the capacity. And I don't think we're on officially on the record for saying that one day isn't enough. I mean, I know Christine said that, so it has been stated, but I'm not sure if it's been like heard. I think we could also, if we were as a committee, maybe work on a resolution that, so we have a stance that we really do feel that one day is not enough. Um, I'm not sure who would we address their resolution to, but we could, as a committee, work on a resolution to, have an official stance on one day not being enough. But I will definitely follow up on that, like any actions we can take to kind of, do better for our community, in regards to the public library. Martha, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I think that it's important for us to advocate that one is that whenever whenever the library personnel comes with a subject, that's our opportunity to talk directly to them. I know Heather and Steve, we accept that a mobile center is necessary. And not only is it necessary, but it's necessary on a weekly basis. We need more days. And every time they come to talk to us, we really have to make that move to them. Every time the council person comes to us and tries to get something, we need to send emails to them. Important that our community is not really going to survive, and they're not traveling. They're not traveling to places where it's just too far for them to travel. From what goes into this, when it's time for us to actually choose 20 items on where we need to spend the money on, we should have focus so hard what to do. And I was not happy. I did the example. Just because it's in process doesn't mean that we're going to doesn't mean that we do that. So that's why I really feel on the top 10.
Hey, oh yeah, the
Yes, Edgar.
audio was
Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, I was gonna say the audio, Martha, sorry. Really, it couldn't hear. I picked up maybe 5 words of what you said. I really could not hear what you said.
Yes, yes, same
Yeah.
here, same here.
There's a lot of background noise, but what I heard was that we could also be advocating to our, like, when the representatives come to speak at the end of the meeting, we could ask them for updates, specifically this. Also just reaching out on our own to our elected officials, just to kind of let them know the community cares, or you care as an individual. I think that's what Martha was kind of saying, if I'm not mistaken, from what I heard.
Can you hear me now better?
It's
It's still muffled.
But it is a little better, yeah. There's a lot of background noise. That's what it is, I believe.
I'm doing a meeting for my college office. So yeah, my classes are in session. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. I mean, we appreciate the dedication for you to still make it tonight. But in terms of what we could do, we could definitely advocate on our own. We could advocate as a committee through resolution, and we could also advocate individually through the participatory budgeting processes that are happening right now. But those are coming to an end soon. Yes, Karen?
I have a question.
Oh,
I have a
sure,
question.
sure, Howie.
Question is, you're talking about the Regal Park on Austin Street, the library?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to say because I know that's not District 29 no more. It's District 30. I want to make sure which district the city council person is in that area. Just want to make sure.
So District 30 would be Robert Holden.
Yeah. Okay, so that's by, yeah, okay. Just want to make sure that's not the 29th no more, right? Someone from Harry, not from
Uh,
Win Sherman in the area, right? By the library.
I think
You
you're right. I
thinking
think
about
that is Robert Holden's district.
district? Yeah.
Yeah, he did say that he'd supported the annex. Unfortunately, we didn't get one, so it makes sense that it's his district.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Thank you. That's one to make. Thank you very much
oh no,
for
you're
that
welcome.
question. Thank you.
I got you, no problem. Karen, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just really briefly, I dropped a link in the chat if you can all see it for
Mhm.
like as an individual submitting a participatory budgeting idea. It's not unique to council members, so I think you can select Holden's replacement there.
Mhm.
That just might be one way to start, but I second the resolution idea because I think a resolution can also be a vehicle to drum up a little bit of visibility. Um,
Mhm.
Even with like local press, right? Like that the community board adopted a resolution in support of the following. So, um, it's the kind of thing where the budget is one thing, but the political will is also a factor. And I think if we can, exude some pressure, starting with the resolution and kind of see where that takes us, I would definitely second that idea, Kavish.
No, absolutely. That sounds like it's something we're gonna have to we'll be working on. So I'll definitely take note about the to make a resolution. And thank you for sharing that link. Anicia?
Hi, we should contact Genaris too, because he is the one for this other side of Queens Boulevard and that area of Rico Park. So we should contact him too.
Okay, I'll take note of that as well. So okay. So that does anybody have anything else to share about the libraries or any other ideas? If not, we could move on to the next portion of the meeting, which is
Dave,
looking
Debbie,
back at oh yes sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Mhm.
A question about I was part of the participatory budgeting program back in 2019, I think it was.
Mhm.
And one of the items that won the was the ADA improvement or ADA doors for the Forest Hills Library on 71st Avenue.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I was there just a few months ago, and I still see nothing happen there. There's still no ADA entrance or door, special door, or am I missing something, or was that never done?
Thank you for pointing that out. That's something that I'd have to follow up with if anyone else
Uh,
has any. Yes, Anicia.
it was never done.
Okay.
It was never done.
It looks like it. I mean, yeah, I was just wondering. I know we spent a lot of time with that project, and then I just see that it's still not done 6 years later. So it may have been dropped because of the budget cuts or something. Who knows?
It's
But yeah,
unfortunate.
it was one of the winning items.
Okay, so in a way that is like it does support the idea that if we were to, have an item through the participatory budgeting, especially on the capital side of things, it can potentially get implemented. Sometimes it doesn't work, and that's something to look into of why it didn't happen. But so we could definitely reach out to and follow that link that Karen sent us, and you know, request maybe I'm not even sure an annex or even like a something that maybe we could even request something that's like a mobile unit that's for more days. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but we could definitely talk about this and like what angle we could approach it at, like what we can make our suggestions or what we could request for our participatory budgeting, what ideas we could submit. or rather. Um, but if there's no one else that has any comments on the libraries, we can move to the next part, which is looking back at our last year's budget priorities. So I do not have the updated list of the parks and libraries budgets that made the full board um, budget priorities, but I do have the ones that we submitted last year. So I'll just go through the list of the expense items that we submitted last year. So the first item that on my list is for the Queens Public Library to increase the library's budget to operate 7 days a week. Then we have a request for a temporary annex of the Rico Park Library. And this is in the order that we wanted to be prioritized. And then we have interactive programming for older adults at the library. And then we go to increased funding for park workers. Then we have forestry and tree planting through the district. Unfortunately, the way that Parks is handling forestry and tree servicing now is they're doing it on their own. They're not taking any requests for trees. They have their this parks plan that they're working on, trying to get 30% canopy coverage. So they're doing it on their own and they have their own method. So we can't really request any tree planting, unfortunately. We have the maintenance and reopening of Pat Dolan Trail. Provide, expand, or enhance the Kids in Motion mobile rec and the organized games, the recreation. Then we also have tables and chairs at Fedorov Triangle. So these were the expense items that we submitted last year. And then, so we only had 8. And then for the capital side of things, it was to create a new or renovate, upgrade an existing library, the Rico Park Library. Fortunately, we are getting that. So maybe we remove it from our list this year. Who knows? I guess we have to see until December what actually happens. We also have to make the libraries ADA accessible, Riga Park and Forest Hills. It seems like we should keep those just because of what Steven said, that the 71st library never got the ADA accessibility improvements. We have installing water fountains in CB6 parks that do not currently have fountains. I remember when we discussed this during our committee budget review, it seemed that some of these water fountain requests could have been service requests, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to move forward. We have Willow Lake Playground renovation and then Iron Reich Playground renovation. And then Dog Run, we have the Dog Run Bridge. So I think what that was is a bike ramp that we wanted to install on the bridge that connects the dog park at Forest Hills to Flushing Meadows Park. And that's all of the capital and expense items we submitted last year. Does anybody have any comments or on that?
Kavish?
Yes, Martha.
Hi. I think once we remove the building of the new library, it
Mhm.
should be replaced for a mobile unit for more than 1 day a week. Let's do a mobile unit for 5 days a week. That's what I think we
Absolutely.
should do.
Okay, absolutely. So I guess I'll definitely make that adjustment. But I guess we could then, if you want to talk about that, we could move on to the next order of business, which is looking ahead, and what we want are some items to talk about for our next year's cycle. So, adding a mobile unit that's 7 days, 5 days a week, that's definitely something I'll just take note of. So since we're on the portion of new budget items, does anybody have anything on their mind or things that they've been seeing around the community that they feel needs improvements in regards to parks and libraries?
I have one.
Mhm.
The real good park that's between 62nd Drive and Horace Harding Expressway.
Mhm.
A few years ago, I recommend somebody to the district person in charge of the parks in our area that she was excellent. The park was so clean. And, what happened was that when I did that, what they took her from our park and they moved her to Kisina Park. So my point is that our park is dirty now.
Oh,
And the person that they have, they need to clean more the park.
okay. I took note of that. I guess if this was going to be a budget item, it would be an expense budget item that requests uh, more maintenance at these parks. Um, this is also something that I feel that we could talk to our district manager to see if they could, let it be known that this impact, moving that um, park worker was, that have some impact, negative impact on our park. So that's something that we could definitely let Christine know.
But
Um,
another thing is that the people that work at the park, they are working seasonal. They work for
all
some
right.
seasons and then they just let them go. That's one of the issues. So when you have
Right.
somebody that really takes care of the park and you move them or you just release it, you have to deal with a new person that, it might be
Mhm.
good, but it could be bad too.
That makes sense. So, the way I see it now is that we should let Christine know that there's an issue. Maybe there could be more immediate change, and then we could definitely add a new budget item, that requests, more frequent maintenance in our parks. And maybe if we could even be specific about which parks that we want that maintenance to occur at.
And
That makes sense.
it's a large park and they need
Mhm.
more garbage can. That's definitely they need more garbage can.
Okay. That's definitely I agree with that. I'm a fan of having the garbage cans as a budget item. Um, especially with all like the rats and all that. It's I think it's very important. Uh, does anybody have anything else they want to Oh, David, you have your hand up. I'm sorry, I didn't even notice. Uh, David?
Yeah. To piggyback on what she just said,
Mhm.
Russell Sage, Fedorov, Stephen, you think you would agree with McDonald Park? More garbage cans, more specifically in the morning. Specifically in the morning. I walk to work. I go right by Russell Sage. I go by Fedorov. I go by McDonald Park. This is early in the morning, okay? 6:30. The garbage cans are overflowing. I agree that we need more garbage cans in the parks.
I completely agree. So one thing I've heard from other boards, and this doesn't have to do with parks, but has to do with garbage and maintenance. Some boards, the other districts, what I've heard is to reduce the amount of garbage on the roads, or not the roads, the trash that's overflowing. What they do is just they get rid of the garbage can completely. So the city's solution, and it's the whole idea of induced demand. I think so. It's to make it that there's no place for you to keep your garbage. The idea is that you'll carry your garbage and throw it out maybe at home. So we could definitely request garbage cans, but the way I've seen the city handle the street garbage is that they get rid of those garbage cans because they think that if the garbage can isn't there, people will not leave the garbage there. Um, which I'm not sure if it's working or not, but I definitely do agree with requesting more garbage cans. I'm just not sure how the city would consider that. But
They should
mm,
they should set inspectors because what happened is that people come at night and they draft their own garbage from the house.
Mhm.
And that's why there's not enough garbage, and it's a shame because if the car is filled with all
Mhm.
this garbage that that people throw to at the park.
You know, that's exactly why in Corona they're getting rid of some of the garbage cans on the street because people are throwing away their own garbage from home. So, but I definitely do agree that that should be a budget item. So I definitely I stand by that. I agree with that. Andy, you've had your hand up.
Yeah.
Oh no, I had something to
Yeah,
say.
no, yeah. I sorry.
Oh,
Circling back to the Regal Park Library, I tried to make
mhm,
a ticket on the participatory budgeting map,
mhm.
and it seems like Robert Holden's District 30 is not part of this round of budgeting. So that I was wondering why
Yeah.
there's no dots on the map, and that seems to be the reason.
So, if I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but like, the city council participatory budgeting process, it depends on the council member if they want to participate or not.
Uh,
Um, I guess he doesn't want to participate, or I'm not sure. But if he's not showing up there, it's a possibility that he just opted out. But that I think it's worth reaching out to see, you know, what is the actual reasoning why it's not on the map. But
right.
unfortunately, they don't have to participate in this process if they don't want to. It's not citywide. Um, and I completely agree with Martha. We should definitely contact them still. Karen?
Yeah, I was just going to echo Andy's comment, but agree that like we should reach out to Holden's office, especially if we do get a resolution. That's something he can be CC'd on. But
Mhm.
I did have a question about, and sorry if I missed this, but had we had any expense items in the past related to like educational programming in the libraries, or most of our library items were capital?
So just looking at last year's items, we've only had we've had programming for elderly,
Mm,
and I think that was the only type of expense item that was programming related to the
okay.
library.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, there's obviously like tons and tons of educational programming that libraries provide, and I think if we opened a conversation about it, we'd all come up with 100 different great ideas for educational tools.
Mhm.
But I was thinking more along the lines of something like, like AI literacy, which is like such a like hot topic right now. And it's almost like, how the library provides English as a second language is like such a core tool for some people. I think, maybe we could think about more specific kinds of educational programs within the libraries. AI just comes to mind again because it's very topical, but not so, it doesn't have to be exclusive to that. And, much like we've supported like, the mobile puppet program in the parks or chess in the parks, like to think about if there's something more specific along those lines that we could support in the library system. So just food for thought.
No, absolutely. And just thinking about extra programming, like I think our community definitely is like needs programming right now. Lost Battalion Hall is under renovation. We're gonna lose our library soon, so there's not gonna be a lot of like, in my mind, after school places for children to go to, um, and for So I do agree with that. We should come up with some programming. And if anything, mobile programming. So because we're gonna not have the physical location, so I completely agree with that. Maybe this year's or when we focus on next year's budget, we could or next year's budget cycle rather, we could try to add more programming for youth and elderly, just because we are losing a lot um for right now. Um, I think Martha had her hand up, and then Edgar could go after.
Hi, we did in the past, Karen, to let you know, we were advocates of after-school programs, summer programs, the implementation and distribution of more tablets to school. This was all during COVID, but then after COVID, arts, literature, where we have speakers come into the library and talk about especially for when we were cultural, different cultural events, just to get the community involved, like say, for example, Kwanzaa or holy days, like the Indian festivals. We wanted to do that. So there was a request to do that. However, these are things that we have to keep asking, because if we don't ask, it's going to fall off. And it's only going to be the core things that are chosen, not the ancillary things. And unfortunately, all of this does get lost because there's just not enough money to do it. But you are correct, Karen. There is so much we can do. And there's so much that the other libraries are doing. I follow the library in Merrick Boulevard, which is the hub. One of my librarians works at the Forest Hills Library, so I am firsthand on to what they do and what activities are offered to us. Brooklyn libraries send me emails as what activities they have. So I know what we can ask for. It's just a matter of us collectively asking for it, finding the right person to advocate for us and getting it done. And unfortunately, we just have to keep doing it.
That's true. Uh,
One more.
Edgar wanted to.
Yeah, to to add to what Karen was saying about boosting programming or services at our libraries, I wanted to make people aware about this pilot the Queens Public Library has called Neighborhood Tech Help. It's a partnership with New York City HPD, which is Housing Preservation and Development. So basically, they're running a pilot program where they offer one-on-one tech support to people that show up to the library, so they can learn how to avoid digital scams, navigate online social services, recover passwords, find health information. Uh, yeah, so I think for like what we want for the future for our libraries and additional things they can do. One that's just one idea. It's we could ask for the pilot to be expanded to our community district, the neighborhood tech help program.
No, absolutely. That's a great idea. If you have any like if you know about things happening in other neighborhoods this is the place to like share so we could try to happen for our neighborhood, right? So that's definitely something I agree with to expand on that, or at least try pilot it here too. Um, but or yeah, so does anybody have any other ideas that they want to maybe discuss now for our next year's budget um cycle? So far, we have this idea about the expanding the neighborhood tech help program. We want to try to come up with more programming for our youth and maybe elderly for the libraries. Um, uh, we in terms of the library, we also still want to advocate for our a mobile unit that's more than 1 day. We in terms of parks, we want to need more garbage cans, and we need to kind of get an idea of like how we could how we can go about getting an annex maybe, or even just getting more office hours, I mean more library mobile hours. And the way we're thinking about that right now is through resolution and contacting our council member in that area. But does anybody have any other ideas? Also, Edgar, are you raising your hand now, or was it from previously? Oh, okay,
Previous,
never mind.
sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so does anybody else have anything you want to maybe put out there now so we could talk about it for our next year's budget cycle? Could be anything capital, anything expense related, libraries, parks. Andy.
Just once again, I would like to advocate for our larger parks. We have
Mhm.
serious flooding issues in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, all the time. I just like a personal story. I was biking one day after it had rained like a few days before. I was biking on the path, and there was a wooden block in a flooded area that you cannot see. So I like went over my bike and stepped into like 6 inches of water. And
Oh,
also Forest Park, I feel like it's going to keep deteriorating the Forest Park Drive, and since we have no more cars in there, we should out of maybe take this out of the capital budgeting or expense, but just consistently asking parks or DOT to figure out who's responsible for that road and upkeep it. And also the lighting in there needs improvement. We have lamps all over the area, but none of them actually work. Um, the track has so many bumps that it's like an entire tripping hazard. Um, like I don't want to see our like flagship park of Queens keep deteriorating. There should be like our Prospect Park. There should be our Central Park. Those parks have major funding um, from private areas, but we don't have that for our area. So we need to advocate for these our major parks like publicly.
no, thank you for sharing that. I know, and I think Karen just shared the links that reminded me, but I know she was talking about potentially getting some nonprofits to come talk about how to, construct or how to like mitigate flood, flood mitigation.
Hmm.
Um, so I think she could definitely speak on that more. I'm gonna go in the order of the hands were raised. So Martha, and then Stephen, and then Karen. So Martha.
I just wanted to share that put a lot of information in the group chat, see if everybody can just take a look at it. These are ideas of what other neighborhoods are doing. And they've been doing this for a while. We just have to be advocates and we have to ask for them because they're not going to give it to us if we don't ask.
Absolutely, yeah. We have to definitely make it known that it's something we need. And otherwise, yeah, absolutely. Nobody's gonna care. Um, but Stephen?
Yes, going back to comments made by David and Anisha about
Mhm.
the litter baskets, overflowing litter baskets. Uh, McDonald Park, for instance, has 18 litter baskets. By 4 o'clock during the summer, they're all overflowing. What happens is during the season, during the summer, especially when you have seasonal workers, if one of them calls out sick and there's only one person doing Federoff, Yellowstone, McDonald, by the school, junior high school, that person calls out sick, they don't have a replacement. So, and if they call out 2 days in a row, they still don't have a replacement. So if Parks is constantly backpedaling to empty those baskets. And if they don't have a crew at night to go pick everything up, it's not going to happen. So no matter how many baskets they put out, they're just they're just not going to be enough because they're not going to be emptied enough times um, to keep the parks clean. So it's a perennial issue. I mean, that's the biggest issue I have with the parks. I mean, I've seen it all these years. If someone calls out sick, tough luck. They don't have anybody, especially on a Monday. Fridays and Mondays are the worst days. Most of them call out sick, and there's no replacements. So I know it's a budget thing, it's scheduling, but we've been working with it for a long time. But it gets very messy during the summer, and
All
very
right.
see the mess, and we have to wait till Tuesday until that person comes back from sick. I don't know. It's just something that's very frustrating.
No, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for highlighting that issue. One thing I also just want to say, to my understanding, McDonald Park and Federoff Square, they don't have a restroom, so you can't have like a staff member there or a park worker there all day. And I think that's another reason
Mm.
things overflow. Like they come for a certain time and they cannot stay there long enough because they don't have a permanent worker, if I'm not mistaken, because
Right.
of there's no restroom. That's like essential to have
Mm.
someone on site.
Mm.
Um,
The
uh,
long-standing issue, another long-standing issue for all of our parks, is the fact that
Absolutely.
this community district 6 doesn't have a truck a pickup truck just for this district. We have to go out to the District 5 and borrow their truck if it's available. So that's another reason why you'll see piles of black bags stacked in all of our parks for days on end. And I don't know why this has been like a perennial issue with getting that truck. Why can't we get an extra truck, pickup truck just for this district? It's beyond me. It would serve such a good purpose, that's for sure.
No, yeah, that used to be a budget item for a very long time, asking for a Gator truck. It was
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
but then the parks manager Ron Taylor mentioned that that's not as much of a concern anymore. And what they really need is a garbage packer. So that's something to circle back with him and see whether that's still the case. Because that was one of our number one priorities for since I was for like the past 4 or 5 years since I've been here. So we'll definitely so garbage seems like a big issue. So it's something we should definitely focus on moving forward for our budget items.
Right.
Karen, you've been very patient. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, just to circle back to Andy's point about the flooding in Floating Meadows Park, and maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, is I put a link in the chat to a study that came out about a month ago that Waterfront Alliance had been working on for like 3+ years with a landscape architect, with the city parks department, with the Flushing Meadows Park administrator, which is like a flooding resiliency study looking at Meadow Lake specifically, and even potentially daylighting Flushing Creek, which would be a huge, undertaking. But my understanding is that the study also looks at, some basic remedies like the state of curb cuts and the sort of like sewage drains.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a set of recommendations in there, and they've been sort of trying to shop them around in order to get the city to fund, some of this. He was saying like our parks just don't get the funding, in part because we don't have a lot of the private conservancies. And so it might be interesting to have Waterfront Alliance come to a future meeting to talk about this study, and also to help us think through like what the community board could be asking for, right? Some of these fixes or capital items might come in future budget requests, but there may be bigger asks in the form of a resolution, to the new incoming like mayoral administration around the needs of Flushing Meadows Park. I think there's a lot to kind of digest in that study, and for us to understand what role we can play. But I think it's useful because it's not totally conceptual. There are some actionable like design things that they're looking to accomplish. So yeah, I think it might be interesting to invite Waterfront Alliance, maybe along with the Flushing Meadows Park administrator, to come to a subsequent meeting and give a presentation on this, and then we can better understand like what role we can play to support some of these efforts, because the flooding is a very, very real issue that impacts park activities.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I do want to have more people come and present to this committee. That's something that we haven't been doing, and it would be great to kind of learn from people who are doing these kind of studies, so we could kind of tailor our budget requests around studies that have been done and not just our ideas, based on like actual facts and information rather than just how we feel. I think maybe even next meeting they can come, we could work that out. Um, Alma, you have your hand raised?
Yes,
Mm.
yes, I want to suggest some, for example, organize on monthly cleanups at the parks, involve the students from high schools, maybe on the weekends, on Saturdays, a couple hours. So because I think it's good. Try to involve these young people to educate how important is to maintain cleans our parks because it's for everyone. And then I think could be some ideas like that. And also about the dogs pub and the parks. It's you find some nasty and when the snow coming, it's horrible to find after the all the snow melt. So with mixed with poop, it's horrible. So maybe we can organize some campaigns to give to put some boxes with bags for the people can pick up the the
I completely agree, you know, those boxes that you could install, that could even potentially be a capital item that we request that we install these doggy bag stations, waste stations in all the parks, or and also in terms of your high school cleanup idea, you should definitely talk to Stephen Melnick. He's been doing this for a very, very long time. So he's like an expert in when it comes to parks cleanups. He's a steward, so especially for McDonald Park. So he's a great person to connect with. But we could definitely speak on this together as a committee as well. Anicia, you also
No,
hand yours?
I was gonna follow up Alma's suggestion because on high schools, the last year they had to do community service and they had to
Yes.
claim it. So we could invite the high schools in in our area to do that, so the kids could earn those hours that they had to do for community service.
No, absolutely. That can make sense. I mean, that makes sense. So maybe we could work with potentially even the Education and Youth Committee and try to make this into like a board kind of project, something we do as a board. And we have Steven here, so he could definitely help us navigate like how to have a successful park cleanup. So we're very fortunate. Um, so I mean. I kind of feel like we're touching on the idea of like new business and like what we want like in general. I feel like we're kind of just so in terms of new business, I definitely would like to have more people come and present to this committee to kind of like give us different perspectives and more ideas. So I'm really a fan of having that the Waterfront Alliance come and present. I also do think that we need to have our parks manager come, just kind of give us an official update from their end, and maybe we could even ask him certain questions, and share our concerns with him and see how he would suggest we go about it. But in terms of new business and what you want to see me in maybe a future meeting, um, does anybody have any, I think they want to share, what they would like to see or talk about for another committee meeting?
Hey, Kavish, it's Karen, and just really quickly, I'm happy to reach out to Waterlines and let them know we're interested, but also maybe to understand like when do we want to have another meeting? Like, is it
Mhm.
a month from now, or do we wait until the new year already to do it?
Right.
But I'm fairly certain we could settle on a date with them pretty
Mhm.
easily. It's just more a question of like the when. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I'm happy to reach out, and yeah, I'm fairly certain they'd be up for coming.
No, I appreciate that. I think we all appreciate that. That's fair. The holidays are approaching, and we'd have to kind of figure out a day sooner than later. And the way like we have to schedule these meetings, we have to let the board know 3 weeks in advance. So we kind of are pressed on time. I think this is something we could talk about offline, kind of figure out what our availability is as a committee, and also considering that we'd have to submit a agenda and submit a date for our board to have a committee meeting 3 weeks in advance. So again, we are kind of pressed on time. Realistically, it makes sense that it'll happen early January. Um, but or we could meet early December now that I think about it. But it is the holiday season, and I think people are tend to be busy. But um, Yeah, I think we could discuss our availability offline, and we'll figure that out. But I do think that we should have more people come and share, whether it be nonprofits or our parks manager, um, just to we have different perspectives. So, and is there anything else anyone wants to share in terms of new business? Um, I think this was a fairly productive meeting, so I'm okay with, you know, ending it soon, sooner. But the floor is open. It is an open floor for anyone who has anything else to share.
Kavish, I just put in the chat. I think we should try to come up with a date in the third
Hmm.
week of January that all of us
Okay.
can meet, because I think that's going to be enough time for everybody to ease back into work. It's away from the holidays. So if all of us can come up with a date and solidify it, hopefully by Friday, we can do this. What works? Let's put it
Mhm.
out and then send the request out.
For sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So what we could do is we could start a new email chain about our availability for the third week of January. If that's okay with everybody.
I'm with
All right.
me.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you,
What?
Howie.
Mhm.
Um,
Good.
okay. Does anybody else have anything else to share? Just because we don't, further, for the sake of, respecting everyone's time, if there's nothing else to discuss, we could call it a meeting and figure out a date to meet next in January. Um, but I will follow up on what we can do to kind of secure or how we could advocate effectively for more office hour or more mobile office library hours, and potentially how we could maybe even get an annex still, if that's possible. Um, it almost seems that it's better for us to advocate for just more mobile office hours than anything. One day a week is not really enough. I think we all agree on that. Um, but we should all definitely still try to do maybe even reach out to our council member Holden and try to submit ideas for the participatory budgeting processes that are happening right now. There's a citywide one with the CEC. That's worth considering for just the programming that we will need for a year. I mean, the CEC implements their programs for a year. So if we're lucky enough to win, at least we'll have a year's worth of programming that could fill that gap, whether it be recreational. I mean, for whether it be like parks related or library related, because we are not gonna have our rec center, Lost Battalion Hall, and our Rico Park Library. So if you live in that area, it's kind of losing a lot for a short period for a long period of time. But yeah, if there's nothing else to share,
And Tim,
is it okay that call it a meeting?
one more.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to just thank everyone for joining and taking time out of their busy days. It
Happy
is
Thanksgiving to you all.
Thanks, Bill.
happy Thanksgiving, Howie. I appreciate that. Martha, do you have anything else to share? Otherwise we could just.
Us.
Everybody for joining us. It was a very, very great meeting. I appreciate working with everyone. And let's make this a great year. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you so much. Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanksgiving to all.
Happy Thanksgiving to
Steven's,
you.
is Steven's hand up, by the way?
Oh,
Like, does
Stephen.
he?
Just a quick while I'm here, why
Mhm.
not? We're having about 200 new trees planted in our district over the past 2 years, maybe even shorter. But I've noticed on Metropolitan Avenue, like where the Trader Joe's is, that section over there, I'd say half of those trees are dead already. What is the contractor's liability to, or responsibility to maintaining those trees? Is it 1 year or 2 years? Then what happens?
I, I have a few. I'm under the impression it's 2 years. But I could get back to you on that for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
You see the trees down on Metro. even some along the storefronts going east. Some of them are in bad shape, and they were recently planted too. If it's lack of water, poor planting positions, I've noticed it a lot of times, and I'm wondering, what's their responsibility? And then after they leave, well, there's no stewardship program in this district, I don't think. So those trees are really, they're not going to last too long. $3,000, it's a waste of our tax dollars if they're not going to be maintained. That's how I feel. I see it every time.
No, right. No, thank you for bringing that up. That's something worth looking into for sure. It's not, it doesn't make sense to spend that much money to, for what. But that's something worth looking into. I'll definitely circle back with Heather and Christine. And I think these are also all great questions and to bring up to our parks manager, Ron Taylor. I think we should also bring him to our next committee meeting. For those of you who don't know, he's our parks manager, and usually I like to have him come to our first meeting just as an introduction. Like, unfortunately, we weren't able to get him this time, but hopefully, January, third week of January, he'll be able to come, and you could ask him directly, how that works. I'm sure he has answers to all these questions.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. But anyways, if anyone, does anyone else have anything they want to share? Okay, well, this was a fantastic meeting. I think we did great on timing. Again, I just want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you, Martha, and happy holidays. And we'll see you guys in our December meeting, I guess. I'll see you guys at the board meeting. All right.
So good
Have a
night,
good night,
everybody.
guys.
All right.
Take care.
Good night. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.